southwest of Chicago, there is a small, secluded cemetery known as Bachelors Grove, and it is one of the most haunted places in the United States. Author Brian K. Morris brings you a collection of writings that will help you navigate this ghostly graveyard, if you dare. The Haunting Scripts of Bachelors Grove is available now on Amazon.com. Get your copy today.
Seconds.
Welcome to Clever Title Pending, a proud member of the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. We talk to creatives about creativity and the business behind them. So type in your questions and become part of the conversation. And now, here's your host, Brian K. Morris.
Yes, indeed, I am. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Clever Title Pending for June 8th, 2021. Hope you're having a great day so far. And whether you're watching us live or on the reruns, we're grateful to have you here. If you are watching us live, type in your comments and your questions, and we will answer them on the air. And also, if you're watching us on the rerun, type in your comments below on Facebook or on YouTube, preferably YouTube, because the picture and sound quality are better, and we'll have a conversation that way. Anyway, we want to thank Plasma Fire Graphics, plasmafiregraphics.com. When the look of your book matters to you, they do great book covers, such as this one here, my latest book, Snow Ambition, an Abraham Snow crime adventure by me. It's 99 cents right now on Amazon. Please pick it up. You'll be glad you did. Also, this show is powered by the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. We're a group of fellow broadcasters and creative types who have banded together to help each other get a leg up in the broadcasting community and be just kind of mutual support for everybody. We've got your entertainment and your information covered 7 days a week from Sunday to Saturday. So please check it out. And tomorrow's going to be a busy day. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. I will be back on Nevermind the Furthermore, the interactive conversation show. Then tomorrow at 7 p.m. I'll be back, Thursday, TED Talks Timepieces at 10 o'clock, Then 7 p.m. will be me again with Clyde Hall, Brian Rodman, and Eric Hawkins on Comic Book Spectrum, followed by Amy Hale on Hale, Creative as Hale, great interview show, followed then at 9 p.m. Eastern by Stupid O'Clock, a great conversation show you will want to be listening to. It is super. Speaking of super, we want to thank our Patreon subscribers. Patreon is a monthly subscription service where you can directly support your favorite creative types, such as myself, and many of these people you see on the screen have their own Patreons. So please check them out. And if you want to see what you get for your subscription money, not just my gratitude, but also mentions on our shows and our publications and other good things, go to www.patreon.com/Brian K. Morris and find out the wonders therein. And now, for real quick, we want to congratulate Cindy Kep on her fantastic campaign for Animal Eye. Number one, she raised, she was going for $3,400. She raised $3,738 with 69 backers. Shut up, Christian. And we want to congratulate her. She did just a super job on that. We're real proud of her, and we will gush over her later. But right now, we want to gush over somebody else that has an incredible Kickstarter campaign going, and that is our guest here, Mr. And we'll unmute you so we can hear your dulcet tones, Grant Lankard.
Grant. Glad you remembered.
Yeah, that's my job. I'm a professional, I hear. Anyway, we're glad to have you on here, Grant. How are you tonight?
I'm doing great, actually. How are you doing?
So far, so good. Nothing's caught on fire yet. Nothing's exploded. I'm calling it a win so far. But anyway, as you see from around the actual prep I did for this show, Grant had last time we had him on was never mind the furthermore one Friday morning, I believe it was, when you launched for that campaign, which did well, I'm glad to say. And now Grant is doing the sequel, the follow-up issue, number 2, to Beowulf.
Not really a sequel so much as continuation.
There you go. There you go. Well, it's you could also consider it 2/3 of a trilogy, except you're going for 4. But Douglas Adams did 5 in a trilogy, so there's always something to shoot for. So anyway, I'm going to give you the screen, Grant. Please introduce yourself and tell everybody why you are so darned awesome.
Hi, everybody. My name is Grant Lankard. This is my comic book, Beowulf. It's a story of Hazel, who's a 13-year-old suburban teen who finds out that her cat, Mooney, can talk. And she finds out that he's the reincarnation of an 8th century wizard when they discover that a dragon has woken after a 2,000-year nap. They go after the reincarnation of the legendary dragon slayer Beowulf, who has unfortunately been reincarnated as a 30-something slacker. So a lot of the story deals with them getting him ready to take on a dragon.
Very cool. Very cool. And I'm setting something up here. You want to run? Can we run your video on Kickstarter?
Have you watched it?
Not yet.
Okay.
Are you going to be dirty words or something I should be warned about?
No, it's very cute.
Okay. Well, we like cute, so this will work out. So I'm going to see if I can hit the proper controls here. And yes, we can. Hurrah. And we're going to fill the screen with that. And then here is the video from Grant Lankard on Beowulf. Here we go.
Hey, everybody. Grant here again. I'm back with issue 2 of my super successful comic book, Beowulf. This is Mooney. He's a character in my comic book. The only difference is he can't actually talk in real life.
Excuse me, Grant. I'm terribly sorry to interrupt, but I really must say that you're simply dreadful at marketing. Greetings, Kickstarter. My name is Mooney, and I'm a star of the comic book Beowulf. It is the tale of a mighty wizard in the body of a common house cat battling 2,000-year-old dragon.
Well, I don't know if that's true, Mooney.
Very well, if I'm being honest, I suppose I did have a little help.
Why don't we just roll the trailer?
Hazel always knew there was something special about her cat Mooney, but she's still shocked when Mooney opens his mouth to tell her he's just had a vision. An ancient evil has awoken after centuries of sleep, and only one man can stop it, the legendary warrior Beowulf. Unfortunately, it's been over 1,000 years since he slayed a dragon, and he's been reincarnated as this guy. His name is Victor, and he's more unemployed millennial slacker than mighty warrior.
Issue 2 continues the story of Mooney and his sidekicks, as well as introduces a few new characters, both friend and foe. You'll have to buy the comic to learn of my apprentice, who is a rather intimidating-looking magic creature. There's also a lot more action in this issue. Victor travels back further into memories of the past lives to witness his ancestor Beowulf battle valiantly against a dragon. The art is by the same fine gentleman who did such a splendid job on issue 1. Isn't it lovely? Like last time, the book is entirely finished and just needs to be sent to the printer. What's that you say? You missed issue 1? Well, that was rather foolish, wasn't it? I'm afraid you'll be dreadfully lost reading issue 2, as there's simply no way of getting a copy of issue 1.
Wait, what are you saying? That's not true at all.
I do love a good chuckle. Never you worry. You can still get a copy of issue 1. Simply click on the catch-up tier and you'll receive copies of issues 1 and 2. Huh? You're still here? What in heaven's name are you waiting for? Stop this video and sign up for a copy of Beowulf number 2. Post haste!
That is beautiful, sir. Well done. Well done. And as everybody can see, it's got 22 days to go, 84 backers, and $1,889 towards the $2,000 goal. Wouldn't it be really swell if someone would pledge like what? Oh, now I got a math. $111, is it? Am I right? 100?
No, 110, 111.
111. I was right. Yay! Boy, my high school teachers would be so proud of me. Anyway, so folks, please check out the Beowulf. You see the address at the top of your screen here. Please check it out. And let's see. Hold on a second here. Oops.
We've gotten one backer since the beginning of this show, which is awesome.
Yay! Thank you to whoever did that. We appreciate you very much. I am going to put the link in the comments here. Please, please, please check it out, and please pledge liberally if you would. If you would. Anyway, there we go. We're back again. That was a super video. Now, did you put that together, or?
Yeah, I edited it. The guy, sorry to disappoint anybody who thought that was actually Mooney talking.
What?
Believe it or not, that wasn't. But we got I actually found that guy on Fiverr.com.
Mm-hmm. That's sensational. Well, a number of my trailers were done by guys on Fiverr. I mean, there's some legit talents on Fiverr.
Oh, can I show you my my mug?
Well, I'm already looking. Oh, yes.
Yeah, look at the bottom.
Oh my gosh. I generally don't look at guys' bottoms, but that is definitely worth checking out. That is, dare I say it, super. Having a little bit of prejudice in that regard myself. Now, have you ever been to the Superman celebration in Metropolis, Illinois?
No, Angie and I were just talking about that.
Uh-huh.
I want to go to that sometime.
Well, this year, I believe it's the 29th, 30th of July and the 1st of August, that 3-day weekend. Normally, it's a 4-day weekend thing, but that My Sharona Miley Cyrus thing has put a crimp in a lot of plans still.
So that's actually right around my birthday, so that would actually be perfect.
What greater gift to yourself?
You said the 29th?
The 29th. Let me check my schedule. Yeah. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. That was my bad. 30th, 31st, and then the 1st of August.
Well, my birthday's the 24th, so that's still pretty close.
You could leave the house by then and then finish celebrating when you get to Metropolis. But no, for those of you who don't know, and we're not taking the spotlight off of Grant here too much, but Superman Celebration has been held since the 70s because Illinois is officially listed as the official home, that Metropolis, Illinois is the official home of Superman. And every year, normally the second weekend in June, but it's been pushed back because reasons. It is a town-wide celebration of Krypton's favorite son. Well, the last son, actually. And if you go to supermancelebration.net, you can find out who the guests are this year. I will be roaming around in my civilian identity, so you never know. So nice. Please catch me and say hello. And speaking of saying hello, we get some hello from Carl Witzman. Glad to have you here. And Carleen. And hey, Carly, fancy meeting you here. And yes, this is a strange place, so we can see why you're here. And Cindy Kep, again, congratulations on your great campaign for Animal Line #1. I don't get to play tonight. Another class. Well, at least someone here has class. Here are some jokes to get you started. How did Beowulf defeat Grendel? By disarming.
I get it. Well, at least it's thematic, right?
Yeah. And what's in the wardrobe? Narnia business. Wordplay. How did Charlotte Bronte make it easier for everyone to breathe? She created air. And Carl Witzman says, although we've kind of answered this, how is the Kickstarter going? Now, we saw the progress, and I think I need to refresh my screen. But while we're doing that, how is this? This is your second Kickstarter,
right?
Campaign for the Beowulf series. How does the second time compare to the first?
I think it's way harder.
How so?
So the first issue, I was surprised that a lot of friends and family maybe not even necessarily friends and family, but people that I met once or twice.
Yeah.
Who don't, to my knowledge, don't read comic books, backed the project. So the way I interpreted that is it's kind of the novelty of, oh, hey, some guy we know is doing a Kickstarter. So the problem with that is that novelty wears off after the first or second Kickstarter.
Right.
So now I have to work a lot harder at getting people that I don't know to back the comic book.
Well, that makes sense. But at least you've got the catch-up reward tier.
Exactly.
Which is good. I used to see a lot of campaigns that didn't do that sort of thing. And for somebody like me, because I admit I screwed up my scheduling and didn't back the first one. I will fix that with this one. But no, it's but you are getting close. And let's see, I'm going to refresh there so I can keep tabs on that. But people are congratulating you. Yay, says Carl Witzman, and congrats from Carly Carleen and a definite woot from Cindy Cap.
I feel
and
like tonight.
Yeah, and let's see what else we got. Let's see. Okay. Oh, and Cindy asked, what would you find in Charles Dickens' pantries? The best of time, the worst of time. And Cindy Cap, like she said, her own campaign ended last night and reached 109% funding.
Yeah,
now,
she
how
did
does
really well.
Yeah, that was great. And this is her first campaign. So I'm really, really proud of her. And also, what kind of dinosaur writes romance novels? A brontosaurus. I love it.
Well, there's a whole genre of that now, but we won't talk about that because
this is the nighttime show. We might be able to get away with it more than on the morning show. But anyway, what was your final results on your first one? Was it a similar dollar amount?
It was a little bit under 3,500.
Okay.
So we can still maybe match that. I don't know. I think by now I had already made more than 2,000, but we still have 20 days?
22
days.
Yeah. So, we got a lot of things here to read. Why did the reader give up on Pride and Prejudice? The characters were too ostentatious. Oh my goodness. Well, we will intersperse with some of Cindy Cap's jokes here, but if our darn sewer line hadn't cost us a fortune, I'd be kicking more projects. Yeah. Well, you see, that's the thing.
Then, Carl, thank you.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, though, I know Carl, like a lot of people, if you for whatever reason can't support this, at least share the message on your social media. And speaking of social media, hello to everyone on Twitch. We are now broadcasting on Twitch, and you'll figure out what we're doing soon enough. Anyway, and let's see here. And yikes. So Cindy Cap, my mom and steppa had their issues with theirs and hopes the project clear. Oh, but Carl Witzman says it is cleared up, but that's why he's poor.
Yeah.
So anyway. Yeah, well, we're glad it's fixed, Carl. And we'll catch up with you later, guy. Jump out to class. Well, you have a good one. And this fellow here, Grant Lankard, says it's going to be hard to resist not talking in here. And you
wonder who that guy is.
I know. Security. Promise I ask myself any questions.
That's a much different haircut than I have now, right?
I had noticed that when we met online here, when we did Nevermind the Furthermore, it's like I see your relatively clean cut self down there, and then you show up as you are with substantially longer hair.
You know what it was? I had an appointment for a haircut the next day after they shut everything down as far as like the quarantine. And I was like, you know what? This might be the last time in my life where I have enough hair to actually grow it long. Why not?
I remember those days. But anyway, Ted Davies Artistry, good to see you, Ted. Good evening to you, my friend. And we will put your comments on the screen. And yeah, Grant may yell at you. Both of the Grants may yell at you. Pardon me. You'll get it in stereo. And Ryan Permisson, thank you for sharing, my friend. Thank you. And we are well, sir. Hope
Ryan's great. I saw the show you did with him the other day.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that was a good time. We had
it was
fun.
a pretty good show.
Yeah, Ryan does a good job. I'm proud of the guy. And also, if you have summer reading recommendations, send him links via direct message on Facebook. Excuse me. And Ryan would like to ask now, what is the first comic book you ever read or bought, which may not be the same thing? So,
see, I don't know what the very first comic book that I ever read was. I do know that there was an early Chris Claremont, Mark Silvestri issue of X-Men that I read, and that started my love of the X-Men. I remember reading John Byrne's Man of Steel comic book, and I remember reading a What If comic book that screwed me up in the head. Do you remember What If?
Oh yeah. I was noticing that Marvel's releasing a bunch of them in trade paperback right now.
I probably should check this out. The cool thing about What If is, like, they didn't need to worry about continuity.
Yeah.
So they could just kill characters left and right.
Yeah.
So the issue of What If that I read that scarred me for life was what if the alien costume had possessed Spider-Man.
Oh, yes. Okay, I remember that one, yes.
So first of all, the thing that screwed me up was Spider-Man. They show Spider-Man climbing out of bed next to the Black Cat.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that Spider-Man had sex. The other thing that screwed me up was Spider-Man dies at the end.
Yeah.
That screwed me up in the head. I didn't know that Spider-Man could die.
See, you have sex and then you die. Kids, this is a warning.
To you think that's what they were getting at?
I think so. It's just like all the slasher movies. You know, nobody kills the virgins.
Right. Yeah, I would like to reread that because, like I said, it scared the crap out of me when I was a kid.
Oh, I can imagine. I mean, by the time those came out, I was an adult, sort of. And, kind of knew what comics could do. But, yeah, I liked a lot of the old what ifs, especially the ones that could have happened, like Captain America's successors. I think it was in issue 4 or 5. And then the one with, the 1950s version of the Avengers that later went on to become the agents of, Agents of Atlas. That was it. The original group.
I think I did read the one where, was it when Captain America, what if Captain America hadn't gotten frozen?
Yes.
Yeah, I read that one. I don't know. It didn't scar me for life the way that Spider-Man one did.
Well, they weren't trying hard enough, but, and to me, what if for like the first 5 years was seeing how many times they could kill Iron Man. It didn't matter what story it was. Iron Man wound up buying it at the end of the thing. And Ryan Permisson says, did you know this is the year of the 90th anniversary of The Shadow? We got to celebrate, Brian. I agree. We should. And let's plan something, Ryan. Let's do that. And time to put in the likes. Yes, folks, if you are watching on Facebook, please give this a like. Please share it if you would for your comic reading friends. And also so they can get introduced to Grant here, who is a likable fellow. And we're also going to have possibly a special guest star appear later on. That will eclipse the two of us both.
Exactly.
She could do that. But also, if you're watching us on YouTube, please give this a thumbs up, and also please subscribe to the channel. We are over halfway to monetization, in which case we can start getting some new equipment for the show, which we would love to do. And everyone's saying hello to each other. Thank you for that reminder, Carl, by the way. And Yelloway Grant, we plan to misbehave. Imagine that. And of course, we say that, and who should appear but Angie Dudas in her mask there. And like that scares us, Grant. And everyone's saying hi. And see, even you are talking and ignoring us. See, now this is, and we want Mooney. This is going to be the new show on the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. We want Mooney. We want Mooney. And yes, I am flipping between different comments. Yes, we want Mooney. And from the desk of the small press publisher, Sinister Cats Never Gets Old. Jody McPhee, thank you for being here, guy.
I've been on that show as well.
Yeah, he's got a terrific show. He really does. Check it out Saturday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central. And love that cat. Indeed. And there is the Kickstarter link for everyone on Facebook. Please check that out. And also we have that also on Twitch as well. And please share. Every time you share it, an angel gets its wings. And the cat was great, says Carleen. Whose lap was he sitting in? Did you have a stunt lap or anything, or was that you doing the task?
No, I probably should have, just in case. But yeah. No, that was my lap.
Okay. And Carly Mooley was saying on Grant's lap, Papa is his favorite parent. I thought we had Randy Zimmerman on for a second. Anyway, Eric Hawkins, good evening to you. Hope you are doing well. And just popping on to say hi and share. Thank you, Heather Ellen. Also, check out Sunday Nights Comics or Chaos Comics and Sass with the great Heather Ellen on the Rising Tide Broadcast Network.
Yeah,
always worth watching it.
Yeah.
She is wonderful. And Carly, thank you, Carly. And I think she's teasing Grant. We got some more people here showing up. And Teresa Dunn, glad to have you here. And so proud of you, Grant, says Teresa Dunn. And my evil into my Orko, TL Shively, darling, glad you're here. How are you tonight? And she says, hello, Grant. And sharing Grant's Kickstarter. And this show is caring, according to Angie Deuce. Now, tell everyone who Angie is. I think most people know, but.
Angie's my wife. Whether or not she's common law wife or official wife is debatable, but I view her as my wife.
There we go. She identifies in a wifely, all the wifely adjectives, right?
Well, we were planning on getting married over the quarantine, and obviously the quarantine put an end to that idea.
Mm-hmm.
But so I just call her my wife now.
It's simpler that way. And Eric Hawkins, who also ran a very, very good campaign recently for the Zombieful World of Oz, #3, said, I had several, probably around 20 or so, that didn't come back for issue 2 that were mostly co-workers. So, yeah.
Right.
But that will happen. There's always a bit of attrition, which, is why I can see why it is more difficult to get, people onto the second book. Like I said, everybody wants that first one, but not everybody wants to stick around for the second because it may not be their cup of tea.
Well, so that's something that I did want to talk to you about, and we wanted to get opinions as well.
Yes.
As far as marketing for issue 3.
Okay.
Or I guess maybe not marketing, but how it's presented.
Okay. So, what do you want people to go through your website and maybe give some critiques or what, or just general ideas?
Well, the main question that I had for you, which is one that we kind of already talked about, was, do you think it's better to do a 6-issue series full of 20 to 22 page comic books, or is it better to do a 4-issue comic book series with double-sized issues? And I guess part of the reason, what I'm kind of worried about is, if there is diminishing satisfaction of returns,
right?
I can already feel that, things are going a little bit slower on Kickstarter. Like we said, it's still early, so that there's time for that to turn around.
Sure.
But, I don't want the diminishing satisfaction of returns to continue. And then, maybe this time we're only down like 5%. I worry, with issue 3, maybe we'll be down 10% or 20%,
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Do you think these are legitimate concerns?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Anyone who's run a Kickstarter or supports Kickstarters, we would love your opinion right now. Now, I'm going to venture a couple of things here because, since you mentioned it on the morning show a few days ago, had a little time to think about it.
Okay.
One thing that's going on right now is school is ending.
Right.
And with the world opening up just a little, people are going on vacations, and that's where some of the money may be going that would be supporting a Kickstarter down the way. Now, this might be different because then you might do your, say you do your issue 3, however many pages it happens to be in the fall. What would you think? Of course, I have a caveat to that too, based on my retail days when I was a comic book retailer. But maybe once people are settled into the fall routine of school, maybe they will have the discretionary income to make up for lost time on a Kickstarter potentially. But I'm wondering if maybe part of this is just simply timing, not the quality of the work, because it looks great. It really does. I don't have to say that because I already got the job. But the book looks good. It's a solid concept. The only difference now is the timing.
Right.
So I'm wondering if maybe the lifting of the restrictions, everyone's going, oh, well, I haven't been to a comic book convention. I haven't been to fill in the blank. Now I can. And that might be something they're trying to make up for lost time with that.
Well, and I also scheduled my first Kickstarter. So it was right when the stimulus check was going to come out, and right when the people's tax refunds were going to start coming out.
Right.
So, so that was that's a reason why I think the first one did so well. Or at least that's what I think. And so so maybe part of it is the summer. Now, if I do a single issue for issue 3, it's going to come out in late August, and it'll run through late September. If I wait and do a double-sized issue 3, it's going to have to wait until February. Here's the reason for that, because I don't want to mess with the Christmas season for doing a Kickstarter, because I've heard that's a nightmare.
Yeah, good thinking. Good thinking.
So I don't know. That's a problem too, because that's what. Oh God. July to February. So that's a solid 5 or 6 months from now. So that's a problem too. Are people going to remember Beowulf 6 months from now?
Okay, here's my question then. As long as we're examining this, what could you do to maintain that interest? Do you and this is kind of a general question sort of thing. I'm not trying to pick on you specifically.
Right.
But and in full disclosure, during his first campaign, I picked on him incessantly, and that's why he ran such a good campaign.
What do you call it, Dr. Tough Love?
Dr. Tough Love, yes. When Dr. Tough Love comes out, only the strong survive. But what if you were to start, say, a Patreon page and list, show some of the art as you go along for future issues?
So I haven't messed with Patreon yet. I know you've had good luck with it. Have other people had good luck with it?
Yeah, some do, some don't. And I don't really think of it as luck so much, but it's like a Kickstarter campaign, except it never ends. And I don't command the kind of numbers that a Kickstarter campaign can, but as long as you are consistent with it, no one has complained yet. I will put it that way. I do get a goodly amount of commentary when I post things, but one of the things I did, for instance, was I posted a first draft flash novel that I had written earlier in the year. It's done, but I'm releasing the chapters a little bit at a time, and in that I'm going to offer my Patreon people an opportunity to name some of the characters in the book.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the key thing is engagement. to give you an idea, YouTube, runs regular videos for creators on how to do this thing better. And one of the things they talked about was that it used to be just subscribers and viewing time played a large part in how you were listed in searches or even just general listings on the homepage on YouTube. But now they take engagement into account. And, and since they started doing that, I will say, and thank you to everyone who comments on this show. Because of that, our show went from something like 10 to 15% of people just kind of like seeing it on that menu. And now we are depending on the episode, we are anywhere between 40 and 60%.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've got to have just about the most comments, right?
Pretty much. And they're awesome comments, people. Keep them coming. But I think that's one of the advantages to Patreon as well. In that I feel like I have more of a one-on-one with people because I check it almost every day. And when somebody leaves me a note, I can, then respond to it, which then also adds to the engagement level.
Right.
Whereas I think Facebook is kind of labyrinthine. They just recently changed how you can communicate to people on your business page. Like I have the Rising Tide Publications page.
Right.
And I am still trying to figure out that system. I don't use it very often. But anyway, we've got a comment here, a couple of comments just to break in here. Rick Bradley, good evening to you, sir. Glad to have you here. And Eric Hawkins says, now Eric Hawkins, he knows his stuff about crowdfunding. I yield to this man's information. I go 12 months between issues and have had more people pledge with each campaign. I do hype it up almost all year round and talk about it.
Huh.
Which is good. And, you've got somebody like me. Once you get me properly trained, about every other time I talk to Eric or have, when I mention Eric, when he pops up on any of my shows, I say, this is the guy behind the Zombie World of Oz.
So something about me is I also play bass guitar in a local band. Mm-hmm. And I was talking to a music promoter, and what he told me was the average music fan will only go to a show of yours once every 6 months.
Yeah.
So if you're doing a show in an area once every 3 months, you're only getting half the fans that you would normally.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do a show once every 2 months, you're only getting a third of the audience that you would get normally.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering if the same thing is true maybe of Kickstarter, where it's like, maybe, like I said, I asked a couple of the people who haven't backed Beowulf yet. Mm-hmm. I sent them message, people who I felt comfortable asking.
Sure.
I said,
good idea.
Hey, I noticed that you haven't backed Beowulf yet. Is there a reason why? And they said, oh, we were planning on doing it. The thing is, we haven't even finished reading issue 1 yet.
I find that hilarious.
I mean, I'm the same way. I agree with what you said. When I get a comic book in the mail, I open it up, I read it on the spot, like unless I have to be somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But, I'm imagining that there are probably a lot of people who back multiple Kickstarters, in the same week. I can kind of see how, these Kickstarters start to back up. Maybe you don't have time to read all of them, and then, also with issue 1, I had trouble getting them printed out. Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, it took a little bit longer to print them out than it should have. Which, don't worry, I have that taken care of. That's not going to happen again in issue 2.
Good.
But basically, my philosophy on that is just don't go with the cheapest printer.
Oh no, No, there are many times, I think, especially in the creative field, where you get what you pay for. And if it shaves a few pennies off your profit margin, but it gives you a better looking product and ensures that you get it in time to get it to your supporters, then yeah, I agree with you completely. There's a lot to unpack in what you just said. Now, the previous thing you said about the music promotion, there is a band I follow in this part of Indiana. They show up at they have kind of like a tour, a mini tour through Indiana. And they come back to Lafayette about every 3 months, but they have a different set every time. And, they, of course, they'll have, like any group, they've got their favorites. Those you'll always hear. But they change up a few of the songs. And I don't know that the every 3 months or thing is as valid in comics as it is in music, because when you go to Kickstarter or Indiegogo or any crowdfunding platform and you say, okay, please help me fund this project, it's a different project. You're not offering the same thing every time. So there is that variety. And also a lot of comic fans are used to getting their comics frequently. That's why we go in every week to the comic shop. That's why that this certain week of the month, you have a title you like. If it's from Marvel or DC, chances are you go back to the comic shop in that same time frame, but the following month, that book will be waiting for you. Now, I will also say that given I remember your problems with the printer, you did the right thing in that you kept the communication going with your supporters. And I think that's the key. And I think a lot of this, goes into engagement, which updating your news is a part of, and you're doing that right.
Well, and I remember when I was going through all the printer problems, the thing that stinks is I told everybody, the comic book is all finished, so it should be out immediately. Mm-hmm. So everybody expected their comic book immediately. And I remember thinking, like, in retrospective, you know what, if I hadn't said that, nobody would be mad at me. Because, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it took me, about a month and a half to get the comic book out.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't a really bad lag on that.
As far as Kickstarters go, that's really not that bad, considering, I mean, there are some Kickstarters I backed 3-4 months ago and still haven't gotten, so...
Eric Hawkins has some that he's just now writing off after
I just saw
years.
That for sure, yeah.
Yeah, so and unfortunately there's some prominent names who are like dragging their heels about fulfilling their projects, and I don't, it better come with a heart valve transplant by the time it gets here. So, and Carl Weston says yes, Grant was very good on communications, and asks, were people angry? I thought ours came pretty quickly. Did anyone push back and say, "Why you little? What were you thinking?" Sort of.
No, I don't think most people were angry. Like I said, first of all, I let everybody know, hey, sorry, I'm having a little bit of trouble with the printers. And then also I provided photographs of the comic books. So it was like they couldn't argue with me that I was lying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Well, I was also thinking back to about a little over 3 years ago when Eric Hawkins and I put out a comic book. Totally unrelated to the Zombieful World of Oz, but I remember turning in the files and thinking, well, I'm ready to pick up my comics the following week, but I had timed it. Unfortunately, the people I did my printing through also do plays for Samuel L. French. And the time that we had picked to print our book was also the time that many theater companies, mostly community theater, were picking out their plays for the following year. So a lot of the press time was being taken up by these the scripts for various plays. and a lot of them were offset printing, which is what we were doing. So I wound up getting, I think I anticipated like 1 week in my naivety, and I think it was like 2.5 weeks before I got it. But we kept everyone apprised and said, okay, it's me. It's always me. So, but anyway, Eric Hawkins also says right now, Comics Wellspring is offering 15% off your printing if you advertise that you are using them during your campaign.
I mean, 15% is huge because I think my printing bill on issue 1 was $800 or $900. So 15% of $800 or $900 is a lot of money.
That's $80 to $120 off. Yeah, that's kind of a game changer there. You could probably afford, if you wanted to, you could then afford to buy, if you had the $800, get 1,000 of them, drop your per unit costs that way. Because I know Wellspring does have graduated discounts, and then you still got your $800 worth of comics, but you've got more of them to potentially sell, and each unit would cost less. Rick Bradley says, I have a Kickstarter that, thanks to the pandemic, I've been waiting for 2 years and still waiting. Eric Hawkins says, Rob Liefeld is going on like 5 years from not fulfilling, and several others around 2 or 3 years. A month or two isn't bad at all. And he adds, never have Brian format your files, just saying. Brian was trying to help his artist out, and Brian was a complete boob. So that's why I always say just leave this stuff to the experts, which is why I have Eric Hawkins doing all my Photoshop work for comic books.
Well, the thing that's frustrating about Rob Liefeld is he's done other comic books since then.
Yeah.
So that's got to be super frustrating. I mean, that's why I like to have the actual comic book done before I hit launch on my Kickstarter. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not saying that I'm not going to go back and meticulously like change that word balloon, just move it like 1/10 of an inch over. I'm not saying that I'm not going to do that.
Right.
And I'm not saying that I'm not going to add, advertisements in the back or about the author section or anything. Mm-hmm. But the meat of the comic book is done before I hit launch on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And that's the way it was with my first Kickstarter. That's, as far as I'm concerned, that's how it's going to be with my Kickstarters going forward. And I look for that when I'm scrolling through Kickstarter for stuff to back. I look for stuff that says it is done and ready to go to print.
I do the same thing. I backed a project well into last fall, and they didn't start production on. I think the script was ready, but the art didn't even start till they wanted to see if the Kickstarter campaign would launch. And as a result, now I'm with you. I generally back projects that they're either done or they're about 90% of the way done. Like, I don't think Brian Rodman on his Nebulizer Kickstarter, excuse me, it was Memoirs of an Angel #7. He was not completely done. He had like about 2 or 3 pages left. But for me, that's close enough for rock and roll.
Right.
So Rick Bradley says, I know I wasn't worried about when I was getting Beowulf. I knew it would get here. And I have a huge backlog of comics I'm reading, so no complaint from me, my friend. Yeah, and it's like we said the other day. It's like, like you said just now, in fact, I know most people, when they get that package from someone they know that they have backed, I open that thing immediately. I want to make sure it's there. I want to make sure all my swag if I ordered swag, that it's in there, so that if there's any problem, I can contact them immediately.
Right.
And this isn't like network TV where, you watch your soap opera at the hour we tell you will watch it unless you TiVo it.
Right.
So yeah, I'm with you. I'm in complete agreement. I want to see the project at least 90% done with a realistic estimation of when it will be completed. And if you think it's going to be done in June, and you tell me in the Kickstarter itself that it's going to be in July, I'm not going to yell at you if you get it to me in June.
Right.
So
and I did that with issue 2 as well. Mm-hmm. I said, I planned for this to be done by August of 2021, where in actuality I expect for it to be done in July of 2021. So
Excellent.
exactly. So I learned that from the first one. What's
Well,
the saying? Under promise and over deliver.
Exactly. Now, what from your first campaign are there things that you learned not to do?
So yeah, I mean, a lot of them are technical stuff that's not very interesting.
Well, I'll be the judge of that. Go ahead and share them.
Oh, yeah. So I was learning, I learned a lot of stuff about formatting PDFs that I didn't know beforehand. Now, Rick Bradley just pledged for Beowulf. He said that it's now. Let me refresh.
Me too. I was going to surprise you. In 1901, we're $99 away from fruition here, folks. We'd really like to see this reach the $2,000 goal. I don't care if we've got 22 days to go. The sooner the better, because then we can get into stretch goals, and we'll talk about that later. And Carl Wilson says, and good advice here, don't overthink it. Don't drive yourself crazy on these details. Concentrate on your story.
I was going to bring this up as well. I think you can start to overthink things with Kickstarter, especially what time of year you release your Kickstarter, because let's be honest, there's going to be something going on every weekend of the year. If you start saying I don't want to launch my Kickstarter this weekend because that's when blah, blah, blah Comic-Con is. Every weekend there's going to be a major Comic-Con.
Yeah.
So to make a long story short, yeah, Carl, I think you're right. You can start to overthink things.
Yeah. Well, and also you can't control when other crowdfunders decide to launch their projects unless you're really intimately in contact with them. It's like you could launch your Kickstarter, and then 2 hours before then, Brian Pulido puts out another Lady Death.
Are you friends with Keanu Reeves?
Oh yeah, Keanu and me, we're like this. You betcha,
right, well,
brother. We keep getting mistaken for each other. Yeah.
Let me know when he releases his next comic book.
Yeah, no joke. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Keanu Reeves was tied to a book called Berserker. If you watch Comic Book Spectrum, Eric Hawkins has reviewed the first 2 issues of it. There's a little bit of doubt as to how much involvement he truly has. But the point is, he made what we technically call a crap ton of money for Boom Studios, which is one of the top 10 comic book publishers in America.
I think it might have overpassed Dark Horse at this point in terms of sales.
I think you're right.
I
seriously do.
When people say the big 4, they mean Marvel, DC, Image, and Dark Horse. But, at this point, Dark Horse has lost Aliens. They've lost Predator. They've lost Star Wars.
Yeah.
The only thing they really have left is Hellboy and The Goon.
Pretty much, yeah.
Those are popular, but, you can't run a comic book publisher on two titles.
Yeah, that's true. And they used to be very prolific, but we were talking about this the other day, some of us, and the powers that be at Dark Horse have been doing it a long time, and one wonders if maybe they're getting tired and ready to pull out of the game or whatever. But that's speculation we can do on a Clever Title Pen, or not a Clever Title Pen, but on a Comic Book Spectrum this Thursday at 7 p.m. #always promote. And Joe McKeel, glad to have you here. Joe Dog, greetings from where I am. Glad to have you where you are, sir. And Carly Carlene says it's a great story, referring to the first issue of Beowulf. And Carl says just stay away from Christmas and New Year, and you'll be fine. Yeah, and I would add, I agree that after Thanksgiving is a dangerous time, unless you are a Brian Pulido and you've got tens of thousands of people following you. He, of course, then again, Brian Pulido's been doing this since the 1980s. Right. So the late 80s. So he's had, same with Billy Tucci. They put their time in the trenches. And they've built up a huge, huge fan base, whereas you are a relative newcomer in that regard. So, the fact that you got, your first campaign funded and you're well on your way. And thank you to that 86th backer. We are now at 1917. That was a great year. And let's see, $83 left to go. Let's get that all the way up to $2,000 by the time we finish this show. Anyway, Carl Witzman says, and the real fans will be there. You are going to have, even if you have like a 10% attrition in the number of people, you still have that 90% that still want what you've got. And greetings from YouTube, also from Joe Dog McKeel. Check out Stupid O'Clock on Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, and also on Saturday nights at 11. And don't fund during the holidays or schedule to ship during the holidays. Now, that last part from Eric S. Hawkins is very, very good thinking, and especially now with the, our postal service as bollocksed up as it is. I heard what was it? I was getting Christmas cards almost at the end of January. So, we cannot rely on them to be prompt at this current time. Rick Bradley says, if you've got thousands of followers, there is no wrong time to do a Kickstarter. Well, that's true. So, Grant will be launching Beowulf #3 under the name of Keanu Reeves next week.
Right.
So I think it's only fair. And you guys should talk about social media and using it to promote your work, says Angie Dudas. She is the boss of us. So,
Angie, I'm still not very good at social media marketing. I keep forgetting to put the hashtags in. Oh,
I do too. I mean, and especially since, Facebook is only now recognizing hashtags. YouTube loves them. Instagram adores them. But and it makes it harder to make one sort of promotional release and then just cut and paste. That's kind of difficult anymore. In fact, I noticed we use StreamYard, of course, for our broadcasting, and I am able to put in hyperlinks and backlinks to my merchandise, all of my platforms and such. But Twitch, and also I write a little bit of copy to tease what the show's about. Twitch just says, screw all that, you're on the air. So God bless you, Twitch. But anyway, so what social platforms do you hang out on?
So for me, I like Facebook because I like the Nevermorians.
God bless you.
Other than that, I don't like Twitter. I do still use Twitter. I feel like people on Twitter are slower to support fellow creatives, and they're quicker to start arguments with fellow creatives. So I tend to avoid Twitter. I mean, I still do status updates,
sure,
but I don't enjoy using Twitter as much. And then I do like Instagram. I feel like Instagram is a much more shallow connection with other people, just because it is all about photographs. Which, I mean, then again, comic books are a visual medium, so that's not necessarily a bad thing. I can't compete with the girls in bikinis, but when I post
one good waxing, I think you could be there, man. I'm serious. So
maybe Angie could. I don't think I can.
Well, there you go. There we go. And it's like, have you given any thought to doing a show like this where people get to know you?
So Angie and I do a show.
What a segue.
We have 3 episodes. The name of the show is It's Like a Book Report but Fun. And so we did Batman Black and White, and unfortunately there's just so much stuff to talk about with Batman Black and White, we ended up doing To Be Continued 3 times.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I mean, do you remember that comic book from back in the 90s?
Oh yeah, that was a brilliant comic. For those of you who don't know what it is, it was basically Batman art and story, in continuity, but usually the better artists and writers. But it was all black and white art, uncolored.
But the thing that was amazing about it was it was a trade paperback. The first 4 issues, you never saw that many insanely talented artists.
Yeah.
Everybody from Bill Sienkiewicz to Alex Toth.
Oh yeah.
To Jim Lee to Joe Kubert. To Neil Gaiman to who else? Richard Corbin.
Yeah.
I think in the video I did do this. I said, I flipped to the credits page and I said, I'm just going to close my eyes and pick a name at random and we'll see if that's a legend. And sure enough, it turned out to be a legend.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and DC's going back to now, but to the same format. Now they've done books with Batman again and Harley Quinn and Superman Red and Blue. But if Superman's in any indication, they're not exactly lining up the superstars at the moment. Yeah. They've got a couple in each issue, but anyway, Angie Duda says that will cost you, honey. Grant's in trouble. And wow, hey, from here too. Thank you, HelloCon Online. HelloCon is happening at the end of October. Let me look at my notes here. It is going to be online. It is going to be in person. 29th and the 30th of October. And one of the guests of honor will be a certain Fez-wearing broadcaster. So that's going to be great. Or, okay, Angie, maybe a one-piece, ask Carl Witzman. Stay tuned, Carl. We don't know what's going to happen. And Rick Bradley asks, how many issues of Beowulf are you planning on doing? Is there an end story in mind, or are you going for as long as you can with it? That's an excellent question, Rick. Thank you.
So Rick, I think we talked about that a little bit before you got here.
Yeah.
That's kind of up for debate right now, and I'd like to get your perspective on that.
Yeah.
Right now we're debating the entire storyline is written out, and it's 6 issues. Now the question is
6 normal size issues. We should say that.
Right, 6 normal sized issues. So the question is, would it be better to do 6 normal sized issues released once every 3 or 4 months, or would it be better to do issues 3 and 4 double sized? And then we would probably only release those once every 5 to 6 months. And I'm not just leaving this question up to Rick. Anybody else in chat can chime in with it as well. I plan on sending out a formal survey at some point in the next week.
Well, that would be good for your Kickstarter people. Send it out to them. What would they rather see? Would you rather wait, say, 3 months for Beowulf issue 3 normal size, or would you be wanting to wait for 6 months for the larger version? Now, here is something else that just popped into my head. Would you go back, and with the magic of print on demand, you could do this. Would you go back and reprint 1 and 2 as a larger volume as well for continuity's sake?
Well, the thing is, we still have a lot of issue 1, so I don't want to throw those out yet.
Okay. Well, I wasn't saying throw them out, but you could keep like 1 or 2 with you at shows. Now, do you plan to do any shows? That's another thing.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of shows. I think I told you I did a show. It's now been 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. We did here in Pittsburgh. It was fun. It was my first show doing it was my first real show like selling my stuff. I've sat in with friends of mine. Thank you. Angie just handed me a beer. Thank you.
Thank you, Angie.
So, yeah, it was a lot of fun. We have a few more coming up over the next month. Unfortunately, they're not going to get super under swing until this fall.
That's true across the country. It's not just your area.
We have a couple shows. I'm excited about this one show called Memento Con.
Where's that at?
It's here in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
The thing that I'm excited about it is that it has the guests of honor are going to be the guys from Supernatural.
Oh, nice.
And just from studying my demographics with Beowulf, we tend to do better with women than we do men.
Yeah, that's how my publishing works too. We have a substantially larger female audience than we do male, and yay, I'm glad to hear that. That is very cool. So, because women tend to be smarter than us guys.
Well, I was just saying that the TV show Supernatural has a very, very, very strong female following, mainly because those guys are good looking. But
yeah.
So I think I have a pretty good opportunity. Like, I mean, I remember at the last convention, a lot of these macho guys would come up and they would take one look at the comic book and they're like, I'm not buying a comic book about a cat. And then they would just move on.
Yeah.
So the majority of the audience we've had so far has been predominantly female, which is great because I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, no women read comic books.
Oh yeah, no, and since I go back even further than you, if they read comics, they weren't superheroes. There were like romance comics or like Archie and Little Lulu and stuff. All the stuff that now at my advanced age I think are genius. I want to read those too. But and like in the 80s and 90s, when I was working in the comic shop, the guys would be buying like like Avengers, but a lot of women would be buying X-Men because it was a little more cerebral than a lot of other comics at the time, and they were supporting things like Sandman by Neil Gaiman. So
now was that when Weezy Simonson was editing X-Men?
That'd have been part of it. Yeah.
So that's probably. See, I remember when I was in high school, whenever I would try to talk to girls, and I would bring up comic books, 90% of the time the girls would say, "Okay, well, it's been nice talking to you," and then they would walk away.
Mm-hmm.
But on the rare occasions when I would meet a girl who did like comic books, it was almost always Sandman that she read.
Yeah. Now, have you read Sandman yourself?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Good. That should be required reading. That stuff is genius. And Rick Bradley is Carl. Do you mean One Piece as in top or bottom, or concerning Angie's appearance? That's going to cost you now, Rick. Anyway, and thank you, HalloCon, for watching us on our Twitch channel. We need to put that in our back links too. But anyway, the last part of Rick's question. Now you've got a 6-issue run on this. Do you have other Beowulf stories in mind past this?
So now, so I have I have ideas for Beowulf coming up. What I would really like to do is, because Beowulf is a story that involves reincarnation, what I would like to do is I would like to turn Beowulf into an anthology series where from issue to issue, it takes place throughout time. So we could do like an Old West version of Beowulf.
Oh my God, I love it.
We could do like a Victorian version of Beowulf. We could do, what else? We could do 1940s version of Beowulf.
Oh my gosh, yes.
We could even do, somebody suggested science fiction version of Beowulf, which I like that idea too.
Post-apocalyptic.
Right.
Yeah, I'm digging that. I dig that idea. Now, would you do something like that anthology, or another type of book between your own Beowulf things as kind of like a palate cleanser?
Well, if we're talking about my dreams.
Yes, your dreams, your hopes, your ambitions.
My dream is that we could have like the current we could have 2 series going on simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
One being the current version of Beowulf,
Yeah.
the other one being more like an anthology series that would have like Old West Beowulf, Medieval Beowulf, Dark Ages Beowulf.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm gonna have to work really hard to get my my fan base up to sustain 2 monthly series.
Oh, dibs on Alien Kaiju Beowulf. Anyway, Carleen says, I love that idea. And Rick Bradley echoes that. I love that idea for Beowulf. And Rick Bradley continues, for the question of the issue size, I think whichever is easier for you. If the longer time for the bigger issues works for you and will help you make a better product, go for it.
It kind of sounds like he's saying the same thing as Carl was saying, which is you can, I think, fall into the trap of overthinking this stuff.
Yeah, it's very possible. And also keep in mind that you are in a field of the independent creator where not everybody, and I'm as guilty of as anyone, not everybody puts out even 1 book a year. You know, somebody like Luke Stone who is looking at doing basically about 4 to 6 more issues in the calendar year of his hybrid series. And he's got a business plan for it. But something like that, where somebody could do like 2 or even 3 issues of their independently produced comic, especially somebody who's doing all the heavy lifting themselves. That's time consuming, and not everybody has the discipline to do it. Just that alone, that you're doing that, that puts you in some pretty rare air there. So,
I mean, I'm jealous of somebody like Brian Rodman, who he just put out Memoirs of an Angel, and now he's following it up with The Nebulizer, which, wow. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, he's doing a consistent series and doing other series in between. And I brought up this earlier with Angie. At the rate we're going now, it's going to take me about 90 years to put out all of the comic books that I have ideas for.
Yes. Assuming you don't get any more ideas.
That's the other thing.
Yeah. Welcome to my world.
So we're gonna. I don't think we've said this publicly at all. We're gonna scratch one itch that I have coming up this October, which is doing a horror comic book, which is something that Brian and I are working together. Do you want me to just tease that like that?
Tease the hell out of it. That's what the show is for, my friend.
So I'll put it that way. Brian and I are working on something that's going to come out around Halloween time. And I'll just leave it like that. And if you continue watching Clever Title Pending and never mind the furthermore, and if you sign up for my newsletter, monarchpublishing.net, you will hear more about that. But I'm going to say, I sent you the list, and I sent you the portfolios of some of the guys who are doing cover art. The guys who are doing cover art are either people who have done work for Marvel and DC, or are people who could do work for Marvel and DC and choose not to.
Yeah.
So basically what happened was I just started messaging people on Twitter. Like every time I saw a portfolio that just blew me away, I would send people a message just thinking like, there is no way this person is going to respond to me. There's no way that this person is even going to spend 10 seconds talking to me. And yeah, a lot of them did blow me off, but a lot of them actually did reply to me and say, "Oh yeah, I have a week coming I have a week coming up that I don't have any work to do, and sure, I'll do a cover for you."
Sure. Yeah, that's great. Good deal. And the more success you have, the the easier it will be to get more people. Why, do we have someone joining us right now, perhaps?
Hello.
Hello, please introduce yourself, young lady, and tell these people why you are so amazing.
Oh, stop. So I'm Angie, Grant's wife. Why am I so amazing? I don't know. Because I put up with his stuff. I'm kidding. That's a joke. I guess, I don't know. You're like embarrassing me, but
I embarrass everyone, Angie. This is just now your turn.
I just want to thank everybody for, everybody's being so supportive of Grant. Backing the comic book, sharing the comic book, all of that. So it's definitely meant a lot. I wish everybody could see how hard he works. I did not realize just how much time it takes to do literally one page of the comic book.
Yeah, it does. It does. And the work shows on the page. If you go to that Kickstarter page, you will see samples of Grant's work, and it's very good work indeed. Rick Bradley says, after a few anthologies, you totally have to do a huge issue with all of them. Yes, indeed. And Groot knows that Rick Bradley overthinks everything. I'm there with you. And Carl Whitson says, it depends on whether you have to go to another job too. And now here's the other thing. Keep this in mind. This might be worth your time here, Grant. Joe Dog McKeel, who is the chairman of HalloCon, coming up in late October, says, comes out around Halloween. I know a place where you can do a launch party.
I'm going to write that down.
By all means, I can get you the information on that too. Talk to Joe Dog about it. Or me. But yeah, that's that'd be a good idea for you to have like a big launch party. You had kind of like a big ta-da moment for launching the Kickstarter campaign. This is your victory lap. Because you work hard not only putting the book together, but also working the Kickstarter campaign with all of its emotional up and downs. And then, you just, you launched, you let everybody know that the book is available, that it's out in the wild now. So just saying. And we still have, before we reach the $2,000 goal on this book, let me put this back up on the screen again. It is available, or it will be available through the Kickstarter thing. And we are at 86 supporters with 1917 out of $2,000. We are $83 away from the goal. And to think I dropped out of math in college because I was no good at it. Anyway, please check this out. You saw us run the video earlier, and the Ninja Ganko is here. Glad to meet you and yours, Grant.
You know what? This is the first time I've met the Ninja.
He's a good guy. We love him. We're glad you're here, the Ninja. Thank you for being here, my friend. But and I will put in that link again so that everybody can click on it. Please share this link, share it around, share this broadcast, not just for me, but for Grant. And let's get some extra eyes in front of this thing. So
this is what I love about coming on this show. I feel like you guys really build up a great community. When I come on your show, people are supportive. And you can ask Angie, like, I was actually, before I discovered Nevermind the Furthermore and Clever Title Pending, I was actually getting a little bit depressed just because I was having trouble, finding a community online.
Yeah.
I think I was prioritizing Twitter, which is not a good idea.
Oh, okay. There's your first mistake there, buddy. No, I agree. There's a reason why the first syllable of that is twit. It's a flaming cesspool of hate, as you found, because you posted that one thing from what was it? Some 15-year-old who thought he was entitled to abuse people on the internet. You handled it far better and far more diplomatically than I would.
I showed that to Angie, and Angie said to me, why do you even engage with these people? And I said, maybe if I'm nice to him, he'll reevaluate his life decisions.
And maybe if I put lipstick on a pig, it'll be my prom date too. But anyway, Glenn B. Fleming is here. Glenn, good to see you, my friend. Hey, Brian, can't sleep again. It's after 2 a.m. here in the home country. Hope you are all well. Glenn, we are well. We're glad to see you here, my friend. Hope you are
Glenn's
doing
a great
well.
guy too.
He's
I've been in his magazine, Comics and Unlimited.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a prolific author. Please check him out on your country's Amazon, whether it's .com, .uk, .ca, .gr, wherever. Check it out. Glenn B. Fleming, he's a great guy. We love you, Glenn. We're glad you're here. And Carl Winston says no, he won't. And I think Carl has the same attitude towards your abuser that we do. And so far, I've had a good experience on Twitter. So far, at least. Well, Rick Bradley, you just wait till you post more of your work on there. So, but no, we were talking earlier. And Angie was mentioning social platform. Do you have like a Monarch Publishing page on Facebook, for instance?
We have the Monarch Publishing presents Beowulf page. We don't have a specific one for Monarch Publishing.
Well, you could convert it to, especially since advice on the air. It's worth what you paid for it. But anyway, no. Say you change the name of the page to just plain old Monarch Publishing, and because you've got this anthology coming up, and you have other publications going. This way, you don't have to try to divide your attentions between two pages, and you could print as you do it, panels, black and white panels from your work as you get it done, and doing it on a regular basis. Because like I said, with Patreon, that's what Cindy Kep was doing. Well, it's what she's been doing with her page. She has been writing a short story called Freelance Words, and she's been serializing it on the page and letting her Patreon patrons get a first glimpse of it, like I mentioned about the terrors on my own Patreon page. Just give like a comic shop, give people a reason to come back regularly.
Right.
So that's why I do a weekly blog, although I haven't nailed down the day I'm doing it because my attention span problems. Or, I post right now I'm posting like a chapter a week now of my upcoming novel.
Right.
And I've got stuff that, I've got stuff in the hopper I can always pull out and let people look at and laugh.
Yeah.
So
I would like to check that out, actually, because I find what people edit out of their first draft kind of fascinating.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, Brian, because you're a very busy guy, but also consistent.
Yeah.
How do you keep yourself on task? I think, I try to help Grant as much as possible, but doing a Patreon or updates or whatever, do you write a schedule for yourself? How do you stay on task and,
Well, the broadcasting is easy because I schedule it. And I come from stage and TV, so the show must go on. And it should go on time, too. So that's easy for me to do. Some days, I will confess, though, that getting the other stuff done is not as easy. And social media is one of my downfalls because, there are people who I gratefully give my time to. But then there's also people that, and it's no one here, but think that they're entitled to your time too. Right. And I do have one problem when somebody leaves me a message. Hey, Brian. Hey, what? It's like,
it started to happen to me a little bit.
Yeah. Well, the thing is also, I warn you now, celebrity is relative.
Right.
Okay. And as you rise up in this creative community, you're going to get more attention, and people will then focus like your 15-year-old fanboy. They're going to think that they have a piece of your time, and I don't mind giving it for the most part, but sometimes I get too engaged. And next thing I know, my writing time is all gone or something. Or sometimes I have to do things like promotion, which take up time. I really need to, I am still in the process of trying to create like a schedule where like between this hour and this hour when I'm not broadcasting, I am doing promotion. When I'm this hour and this hour, I am doing my writing. And part of that is figuring out when your mojo happens in that regard. Like I'm finding out that morning should be my promotion time, because sometimes in the evening I have this burst of energy that, I got to get to the keyboards and, start hitting it. So it's not easy. That's an excellent question, Angie. It's not easy, and you have to find your rhythm on it. But if you want to do it enough, also, you will do it. One thing, like, I used to tell people, it's like, well, I don't have time to do this, fill in the blank. Well, do you make time to play video games? Yeah. Well, you make time for stuff. If somebody says, hey, I'm going to give you $200 if you drive over to my house, you do it, right? You'd make the time, right? You make the time for the things you want to do, so that, and I like to think of it as you're doing it so you don't have to do that other stuff like the 9 to 5.
Yeah. So my philosophy on that is that, a lot of this stuff takes up, as far as I'm concerned, it takes up different parts of the brain.
Yes.
So when I start to feel one part of my brain get worn out, then I'll do something that kind of engages a different part of the brain.
Yeah.
So like,
it's good variety. Yeah.
The thing about inking is, like, doing inking the comic books. That to me is the most fun, because that's pure, just, creative, just very little decision making, just kind of drawing.
Yeah.
Pure drawing.
Yeah.
And that takes up one part of your brain. But when I'm sitting down drawing layouts for somebody, that's very, very, very creative. Just coming up with like, okay, can I come up with a different camera angle to do this shot from? That's very creative. And then there's the stuff where you're literally just copying and pasting your link onto different Facebook pages.
Yeah.
That's just muscle memory. So a lot of times I save that for late in the evening when Angie and I are sitting around watching TV. So long story short, that's how I kind of do it. I wait until I can start feeling like my brain start to get worn out, and then I switch the task.
That's a very good way to do it. It's a very good way to. Oh yeah, and another key is stay off of YouTube, Brian. Yeah. Because there is the eternal rabbit hole for me. So and it's knowing what will distract my limited attention span. Glenn B. Fleming, who thanks us. No, Glenn, thank you, brother. Please check out the work of Glenn Fleming. He is a great comic book creator as well as a travel writer, and he's written some books on the Kennedy assassination. He is a super, super talent. And Glenn, we got to have you back on this show someday. And Carl Weston says, I'm very bad about online newsletters. I get into a habit each morning, and I keep thinking to read them, but oops, as long as you read mine and Grant's and Cindy's, you're in good shape. And Rick Bradley says a very much puts words to truth here. How does Brian stay on task? Cookie. Enough said. Here's a good distraction for you. Grant, if you ever want to write me another article for Comics Unlimited.
That does sound fun.
There we go. Rick, I'm sorry, Angie?
I was just going to say, like, I did say to Grant, like, if he ever, got super big to the point where I didn't have to work, like, we both didn't have to work.
Right.
I would be like, I'd be the CEO of, like, your marketing department.
There you go. There you go. Hashtag bring Angie home.
Right. We're gonna have to wait till Beowulf, the Netflix series.
Beowulf vision. I can see it now. Rick Bradley says, poor Reginald tried to take too much time, but haunting scripts of Bachelor's Grove, just in case anyone is wondering. Well, thank you very much for that unsolicited testimonial, which, of course, hashtag always promote your friends to. Thank you very much, Rick Bradley. Yes, Reginald is one of my stories in there. And there's a story behind that story. But anyway, thank you, Rick Bradley. Appreciate it. We're available on Amazon and Smashwords. Carl Weston says, I found out that just changing my Facebook profile page got tons of views and reactions. I posted a photo of me with my book, and people just realized that I wrote it. Duh.
That's the other thing that drives me crazy. I don't know if this has happened to you, but like after the Beowulf #1 Kickstarter ended,
yeah,
I got all these messages saying, "Oh, hey, when does your Kickstarter start?"
Yep.
And I'm like, thanks.
Yeah, thanks for paying attention. And that's when you need the 7-second delay. And when you are at that's rhyme. Okay, thank you, Ninja King. Appreciate it. I'm at time. Okay, where you are at, that's time.
I think Ninja's been drinking as well, so
there you go.
Ninja, cheers.
I'm your designated host for tonight. And hey, yo, Pops Talk. Pops Talk Comic Talks with Pops Van Zandt. Check out CromCon the last Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of this month. Every month, CromCon 15 coming up. So please check that out. He does a great job every month with that great monthly convention. And randoms. We are so random here to Ninja. You're going to fit right in. And speaking of fitting right in, there's our darling Michaela J. Moi. I sense an idea for my next Tidbits and Scribbles video. There you go.
Oh.
Good idea.
I talked to her about being in her newsletter. I didn't talk to her about being on her show.
Well, there you go. Well, she's generally a solo act, but it never hurts to ask, right?
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's like, how did you get on Nevermind the Furthermore?
Exactly.
How did I wind up with Ty Templeton drawing the cover for me? How did I wind up with Roy Thomas writing an introduction in the Skyman book? I asked.
That's crazy.
It is crazy, but it's crazy sensical. And stay off YouTube, says Joe Dog McKeel from YouTube. Oh, by the way, did you see the new 3D bot maker video? Yes. Yeah. Yes, I am. Joe Dog has hooked me on marble racing and 3D die-cast racing. It's like little customized Hot Wheel cars across the track of death. It's very entertaining and takes up a lot of my time too. But anyway, Glenn B. Fleming says, for me, as I write, pencil, and ink my own stuff, I can leave out a lot of the pencil work and put it in at the ink stage. I try not to waste any time. If I'm stuck at drawing, I'll write, and vice versa. If not that, research. If not that, pre-COVID, get on an aircraft and go somewhere. Well, see, now this is it. Just hop a plane and you're golden. But no, Glenn's got a really good point there. But there are some artists who, like Jack Kirby, like John Buscema, who their specialty is the pencil art. Okay?
Yeah, I would throw Mark Bagley.
Mark Bagley, yeah, an excellent example. George Perez, there's more of them than not. But then you had somebody like Steve Ditko, who knew he was going to be inking himself. And there are some of his pages, original pencil pages, floating around the internet, and he would literally do stick figures to get the basic layout of the panel so that when he turned them into Stan Lee, and then he wrote notes in the margins so that Stan would know who was saying what. Because he sure couldn't tell from the stick figure art. So
I even know like somebody like Dave Gibbons, who lettered himself.
Yeah.
If he knew that there was going to be a word balloon over something, he just wouldn't draw it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's the one thing when I first started getting into the background of comics, the production angle of it, sometimes you can see a number of artists, particularly in the older days, where their style would be very ornate when they got into the industry. And then after they saw it being printed, which granted the printing at the time was crappier than hell and far inferior to what we've got now. But they would start pulling out detail to speed up the process. And somebody who could ink like Vince Coletta, he gets a lot of crap for his shortcuts with other artists. But then again, he knew how to draw a thin line that was just thin enough to register on the cameras.
Right.
So, he had his own particular skill. But anyway, thank you for that, Glenn B. Fleming. And Pops Talk sounds like a show talking about Pops. We are not doing that. We are not doing that. We are not doing that. Anyway, Grant, says Michaela Jade, my newsletter goes out the 27th. If that helps, send her a PM. Thank you, Michaela. You're the best. You're
I have
totally
sent
awesome.
her a PM. Okay, I'll send her another PM.
There you go. Can't send enough too many PMs. And also check out Michaela Jade on Amazon. Her Warriors trilogy is out right now. Required reading. You're going to dig it. It's
I
good
don't know.
stuff.
I was just going to say, I don't know if Grant has mentioned
Yes.
his interest in comic books. Recently, his mom contacted us and I guess they're cleaning out their attic. I'm sorry. And has a huge, so Grant apparently had a huge collection of comic books that they saved for him. So I'd be very curious to
Including
see.
the first appearance of Deadpool.
And say that again?
I'm 90% sure I bought the first appearance of Deadpool when it was still reasonable to buy.
New Mutants 94, right?
Let's hope it's in good condition. Let's hope that nothing in their attic was dripping on top of it.
Well, the thing is, though, and I will tell you this from my years as a comic retailer, it is a little more prevalent now for people to accept lesser condition comics. I mean, back in the day, like you were talking about how you could replace a comic with a better copy of it. And I used to do the same thing. But then starting in like the 80s, people were like, oh, no, it's near mint or nothing. But now we're getting back to the point, especially with the higher prices on comics now, especially something like a first appearance of Deadpool, which, would make a good down payment on a house probably. I don't know what the price is.
I think it's up to like $5,000.
That's about what I was thinking, yeah. But see, that's a $5,000 comic book. But if you had one that was, say, still intact and readable, that's still, depending on where it is, it used to be a 1 to 6 margin between good and near mint at one point. I think it's widened since then. But even if that's, like, say, down to $50, that's still an improvement over your investment.
Right.
See? But I too, just if for posterity's sake, I hope that the book has survived in style. So
I think the first official appearance of Deadpool is New Mutants 98. And I think the first I think that was a cameo appearance. That's not considered a full appearance.
Right.
I think the first full appearance is Deadpool 100. Which he's on the cover of. Right.
But just the same, even those small appearances are going to be worth something to somebody. So definitely, let's give us a progress report when those come out. I'd love to hear about that. I love hearing about finding collections.
Angie's daughter is really excited because Angie's daughter is just starting to get into comic books. The only thing that sucks is Angie's daughter is really into the Avengers, which I don't think I have a lot. Because if you remember back when I was really collecting comic books, it was the 90s, which was when the Avengers weren't good.
Well, I'm curious to see all the comic books you read, how that influenced you. Like looking at those and looking at Beowulf.
I think you're going to be surprised by how much Image.
Or maybe I won't.
I've tried sitting down and reading some of those old Image comics, and I'm like, what did 13-year-old Grant like about these so much? I don't know.
What was 13-year-old Grant's problem, right? When Rob Liefeld is putting out a book simply because he thinks he can trademark the word. Yeah, I remember those days fondly. Anyway, but no, I'd really like to hear what you had in your collection. I always like hearing things like that, what survived and all, and it's cool that your daughter wants to read comics because. like I came from a comic book reading family. My parents both read comics back in the 40s. And so it was funny. I'll tell this little story that they kept telling me about comics from 20 years ago. Comics from 20 years ago, like the old Captain America, Superman when he couldn't fly, Batman and Robin, the original Captain Marvel. And I was like, man, I'd love to own a comic that's 20 years old. This would be so cool. And then after a certain point, I realized when I hit my early 20s, because I started reading so young, I now had comics that were 20 years old that I had bought off the rack with my parents' money. So.
Well, we were just talking about how it's been the same amount of time since Nirvana's Nevermind album came out as Meet the Beatles was to when Nevermind came out. Which is crazy because when I was a teenager and people would tell me about like, oh, I remember the Beatles on Ed Sullivan, it seemed like it was 1,000 years ago.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and Elvis Presley. Like I distinctly remember seeing the Beatles on Ed Sullivan that night because I'm that elderly. But I was the same way with hearing about Elvis Presley because I don't think I was. I don't know. I'd have to look, but I think I was either not born yet when he was on Ed Sullivan, or I was like one or two. So it was pretty early in my existence, but yeah. And that's the thing, it's like I talk to people about things from my youth and they, to them, it sounds like something out of a dime novel, which itself dates me. But anyway, Rick Bradley says, well, the 80s were only 20 years ago, right? Ow, my back. How are you enjoying those AARP newsletters now, Rick? And Michaela J says, I'm sometimes chasing my tail in other tales. Photos where it didn't happen. I'm sorry. I promise to do better going forward. It wasn't meant as a slight against you. So, and Glenn B. Fleming says, there we go. See, we all get along here, and I like that. Grant, this is the only Avengers your daughter needs to see with the gorgeous Diana Rigg. Okay, Glenn B. Fleming, now we're talking.
At first I was like, what is he talking about? Okay, so that's a little bit before my time. I do remember the Sean Connery, Uma Thurman movie from, was that the late 90s?
Yeah, mid to late 90s, yeah.
Which they're saying now is one of the worst movies ever made, but I don't know. I liked it when I was a kid.
I liked it, and I was married and an adult. It just, as long as you did not compare it to the incredible Diana Rigg. That's why there are certain people in our generation that have a fondness for leather catsuits. So, but no, it was really quirky writing and incredible acting, incredible chemistry between Diana and Patrick McNee. So, but the event, if you like Doctor Who, you should be watching the original Avengers too. So I'm
a big Doctor Who fan.
That's a blind spot for me. It's not that I dislike Doctor Who. It's just it's very intimidating to get into it.
Yeah, and I think one of the ways that Doctor Who works is that when it doesn't rely on its continuity, that you don't need to know 50 years of this program in order to enjoy the story. But you see something like, and Angie, correct me if I'm wrong, Blink.
Oh gosh, that's
an entry point.
That's an entry point, and I feel like it's almost like a movie because the Doctor's not even in it that much.
Yeah, yeah.
And I believe Carey Mulligan, didn't she?
Carey Mulligan, yes, and they're talking Oscar for her, I believe, this year.
Yeah.
For the movie she did.
The only episode of Doctor Who I've seen is Angie made me watch an episode where it was a character named Grant who was obsessed with Superman.
Yeah. Oh, yes, one of the Christmas specials. Yes, I remember that.
I just thought it was very cute, and I thought he would like it. I haven't heard you, Brian, but who is your favorite Doctor?
Honestly, in all seriousness, my favorite Doctor is the one I'm watching at any given moment, because I think they're all brilliant in their own way. And like, if I want to see a certain type of story, I gravitate towards that Doctor.
Right.
Like if I want to see something gothic, I go to Tom Baker. If I want to see like something out of a James Bond film, I'll go to Pertwee. Now, I do have a favorite actor. I think the best actor of the group was the most skilled was probably Peter Capaldi.
Oh, he was really wonderful.
He's amazing. And just that one speech he gives between Missy and the Master about why he does what he does.
Yeah.
And there are just certain areas where his voice cracks that I'm like, oh my God, he's getting into this. But all of them have been amazing. But on a personal level, I like Colin Baker because short version of my story that I've told several times on Nevermind the Furthermore is that there was a disastrous convention where I was living at the time. He and John Nathan Turner, the producer of Doctor Who during the 80s, were there. And it was, I believe the term is fustercluck, from the moment we opened till the time it ended due to a blizzard. And people were leaving, the crew were leaving, the people putting us on were abandoning ship like rats on the Titanic. And some of us stayed and tried to hold the thing together. I was one of them. I was feeling responsible. And during this weekend, of course, I was breaking up with the girl I was seeing who was also at the convention, and just all this problem and, trying to hold things together and feeling responsible because I'm that kind of guy. Well, at the end of it, Colin Baker came by and said, Brian, I'm throwing a party later. Are you going to be there? And I'm like, no, I've had enough. I'm tired of being life's punching bag. I'm going to go home and see how much beer I've got. And he's like, no, I'd really love it if you would show up, Brian. I really want to thank you for everything you did. And I said, okay, I'll be there. And as he's walking away, I realized we didn't wear name badges.
Wow.
He went to the effort of finding out who, it's one thing to go around finding out who to blame.
Right.
But it's another whole level of ethics when he's going around trying to find out who to thank.
Yeah.
So that's my man. That is my guy. I'm not, if you're going to say anything nasty about Colin Baker, you got to go through me first. So
I think he's pretty beloved from what I've seen.
Yeah. On a personal level, I think people really like him. And I think a lot of people now, in retrospect, have seen that he was probably not as well served by his writers as he should have been, because he's done a lot of stuff for the Big Finish audio line that has been spectacular. Now, who's your favorite, Angie?
That's tough.
It usually is, especially if you watch the, even just the new Who, or you take in the classic as well. So,
I mean, I really loved David Tennant, but I liked David Tennant in a lot of other things.
I was
He's a
going to
great
say,
actor.
you're going to choose the hunkiest one.
Is he hunky?
I thought he was. I don't know.
I
thought women liked him. I don't know.
I mean, women did like him, but I thought he, I just liked his energy. Of course, then he brought that energy to Good Omens, which I don't know if you watched.
Yeah.
So I just like him as an actor. I mean, I just enjoy Doctor Who, the universe, whatever, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I've liked all the ones that I've seen. I really felt bad for, oh God, I'm gonna screw up his name, Christopher
Eccleston.
He only got one season.
Yeah.
I always felt like he could have done a lot more. I know that they did comic book versions of his Doctor, and then he did narrate.
He's doing the Big Finish now. So.
Yeah.
And loving it from what I'm reading.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
But I really enjoyed him as
did
well. It was just a shame he only got one season, but
oh yeah.
But,
Well, I'm glad to see him getting his due now. And he's another one like Colin Baker, who people are saying he is a terrific actor. And also Paul McGann, who only had like the TV movie and then like a 20-minute mini film during the 50th anniversary, and we're getting close to the 60th anniversary, dear Lord. And Jessica Johnson is here from Heroes for Kids out of Perryville, Missouri. Glad to have you, Jessica. Mwah. We will see you in July. Looking forward to that show. And it is officially sold out. The tables are all now gone. Rick Bradley says David Tennant played the Purple Man perfectly on Jessica Jones. Yes, he was an SOB.
I do know.
Yeah.
He's also very funny on Good Omens too. If you
Yeah.
ever get a chance to see that.
Good.
And Glenn B. Fleming says, watch the Doctor Who episode. Yes, with Van Gogh.
We should watch that together.
Yes,
That
one of
always
the
makes me
greatest
cry.
scripts ever written in anything.
Yeah.
And if I am remembering correctly, it was written by Ben Elton, I think, who also did like Blackadder and stuff. And and he's also written things like I think some of the Hugh Grant romance movies.
Yes.
But and there is a sequence in there, Grant, I will tell you, where spoilers, which is a phrase we learned from Doctor Who.
Indeed.
There is a scene with Bill Nighy from
Yes.
Shaun of the Dead where the Doctor brings.
He's great.
Yes, he is. And in this one, such superb acting with two actors who don't interact with each other.
Right.
Where the Doctor asks the curator, Bill Nighy, of Van Gogh's impact on the world of art. And he delivers this impassioned monologue about how Van Gogh was not only just a great artist, but perhaps the greatest artist in history. And Van Gogh is listening.
Yes.
Yeah, it is,
That's always a monologue that makes me cry. Like if I stumble across it, like on YouTube or somebody posted somewhere. Yeah.
It's sheer genius. And if you go to the Doctor Who website on, or the page on, not Facebook, but YouTube, they have various scenes from the various shows, and that is one of the clips. And I play that sometimes when I need a little bit of inspiration myself. Hopefully people will say nice things about me long afterwards. And Jessica Johnson has a link to the Heroes for Kids out of Perryville, Missouri. Please check them out. It's a great cosplay group, and they're just now hitting the road again, I'm glad to see. And there's that Heroes for Kids Comic-Con. I will be there along with a number of amazing people. Please come see us in Perryville, Missouri. Check out that Facebook page for more information. So there we go. And we're caught up with the comments.
Grant and I are actually going to go see a Van Gogh immersive experience. I guess they have them around the country.
Yeah.
And I had my stimulus check, and I was like, I'm gonna buy tickets for that.
Oh my God, yeah. Well, there's something to be said, getting to see. I don't know, what kind of originals they might have if it's that kind of exhibit. But like with original comic book art, there is just something magical about seeing it on the printed page. And one thing I will tell you, if you ever get to Hannibal, Missouri, go to the Mark Twain Village. They've got a Mark Twain museum down there. Yeah, duh, big news, Brian. But anyway, when we were there about 10 years ago, they had some of the original Norman Rockwell paintings that were used for the 1930s hardcover editions of Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn. And I think, he's as close to a modern master as America's produced in the 20th century. But to see the weight of the ink, the paints on the canvas and how it all flows from there, and it's just amazing. It is something I recommend any artist go see. Even I, who don't draw anymore, it got the juices flowing. So Joe Dog McKeel says, if you watch Vincent and the Doctor and not cry, you have no soul.
Agreed.
Totally agreed. I mean, even describing it, I was getting a little verklempt, and it doesn't get better no matter how many times you see it. It is just one of those things where the writing, the directing, and acting just mesh so incredibly well. And good show. Well, thank you, Carl Wisman. Appreciate that. Thank you for helping make it that way. And Joe Dog McKeel says, great show, Brian. Grant, give me a shout tomorrow.
I wrote that down. I wrote
Good
message Joe Dog.
Definitely. And hopefully we will see you guys at HowlCon. Hopefully we'll see everyone out there at HowlCon. And so we have run out of comments and we've run out of time, but it has been a delight as always having you on here, Grant. And Angie, I'm glad you showed up too.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much.
We'll have to do this if
pleasure's mine.
I don't know. It's going to depend on when issue 3 comes out. If issue 3 doesn't come out until February, then I'm going to say we should do this before then.
Right.
Let's do that. And hopefully everyone listening to this has gotten some good ideas on how to run, and maybe in some ways not run, a Kickstarter campaign. Like, don't overthink it, people. Just make it happen. And Rick Bradley, thank you very much. You stay creative too, and take care of yourself. And Carleen, as always, thank you so much. Thank you for your comment on YouTube there. And Rick Bradley, yes, thank you for hanging out with us, Grant.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you for backing Beowulf '2.
Yeah, thank you all. And please, that the Beowulf is still up, and we are still needing $83. So we've got 86 backers on that. So please bookmark that page, give that video a view, and marvel in the acting ability of Grant and Angie's cat. But anyway, please check out this Kickstarter. I plan to support it myself. And I know you're going to get I know you're going to cross the line tomorrow. I predict you're going to cross that backing line tomorrow.
Well, I was thinking about going on Facebook after this and sharing the post. So maybe even tonight.
Let's hope so. Please share this show, everyone. Please share this show with everyone on your pages so that they can see what a great guy and what a talented fellow this person is. And if nothing else, do it for Angie. To heck with Grant. Do it for Angie.
No, do it for Mooney.
Do it for Mooney.
Do it for Mooney. Yeah, that's right. And if
cat food is expensive.
There you go, people. See, you've heard. If
you love cats, just know that you're helping us feed our cat.
Well, there you go. And they feed the cat only the finest comic books. The cat is on a total comic book diet, and this way they can get the quality, all natural paper that cat requires, all the vitamins. And way of a casual savage, after eating beef jerky, I swish beer. Well, good for you, the Ninja Kanko. I feel so much closer to you now. Anyway, I hope you have a great night, the Ninja. And so, folks, I think for everyone watching, let's put the focus now on Grant and Angie. And Grant, tell everybody where they can follow you and support you in your creative life.
So I'm the only Grant Lankard on Facebook, spelled just like in the description down here. And on everything else, including Instagram and Twitter, I'm GW Lankard, Lankard. More importantly, if you go to my website, monarchpublishing.net, you can sign up for my newsletter, and you will get a free comic book if you sign up for my newsletter.
We're going to put that on the page here.
And if it helps, the comic book, I would say, is definitely young adult. Nothing salacious. I don't know the right way of putting that. Nobody is unclothed, or there's no adult themes. It's very family friendly, I would say.
It's PG-13.
Yeah.
There we go. And great to see and hear you guys. Great to have you here,
Thank you, Glenn. Thanks for staying up so late.
Yes. Yeah, seriously. Glenn's about 6 or 7 hours ahead of us. We are now truly international. But check out monarchpublishing.net for all your Beowulf needs. And again, Grant and Angie, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you both.
Thank you, Brian.
It's been fun.
Thank you for having me, Brian.
Yeah, and everyone for all the support.
Yes, thank you, everyone who's made a comment here. And please share this video, share the links out to all your friends. Let's get them over. And Glenn B. Fleming's, I have no choice. He cannot sleep. And he's hoping I'll bore him to death. Well, Well, anyway, Glenn, we hope you enjoyed the show, and it is a treat, as always, to have you here and to talk to you. But anyway, guys, I'm going to put you on in the background here, and we'll close out the show, but I want to say goodbye to you properly. So thank you again for being here. Thank you. Have a great night. And I've muted you and put you on the big screen. Put me on the big screen. So you got a couple minutes to go to the bathroom, guys. Anyway, thank you all for watching this episode of Clever Title Pending. We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope you will take a moment and please back the Beowulf #2 Kickstarter. It's a great project. It looks terrific. And hopefully by midnight, maybe we'll get that final $83. Oh, math is hard. Barbie was right. But anyway, thank you all for your support. Thank you all for being here. And we hope you have a great evening. And remember, tomorrow morning, we will be back on Nevermind the Furthermore at 10 a.m. We also want to thank our sponsor for this evening, as always, PlasmaFireGraphics.com. Please check out their amazing work. They do covers, they do book trailers like you saw at the top of the show and like you'll see closing out this episode. They also do graphics that will help you sell your work. They also do comic book covers. They do whatever you need to make your work look great, because when the look of your book matters to you, you've got to talk to Plasma Fire Graphics. Check them out at plasmafiregraphics.com. Also, Plasma Fire Graphics on Facebook. They are terrific. It is a great place. And look at this cover here. They did my cover for the newest book by me, Snow Ambition, the fourth in the Snow short series. It's a quick read crime thriller. You will love it. And I had fun writing it. I think you'll have fun reading it. It's available now on Amazon for 99 cents. Also, we want to thank the Rising Tide Broadcast Network for 7 days a week worth of information and, of course, entertainment. We have all kinds of stuff in the morning and at night. Please check out our schedule, take a screenshot of that, and support our people. Please subscribe to their YouTube channels if you would, please. Also, thank you to our Patreon subscribers. Patreon is a monthly subscription service where for a modest monthly expense, you can support your favorite creators, of which I hope I am one. But these folks also have their own Patreon pages, and we support some of them too. So please check them out because we also offer you things like looks at exclusive blogs, previews of upcoming works, all kinds of stuff that the general public doesn't see, but we show it to our Patreon patrons. So check out what we can do for you at www.patreon.com/Brian K. Morris. And hope you find stuff you like. But anyway, folks, as always, thank you very much for watching this episode. Next week, our guest will be the former Big Daddy Cool himself, Mr. John B. Pica. He has got a brand new book out called Nightreich, available from 7th Star Publishing. And also, he has got a Patreon page where he is serializing his first comic book. And he's also an illusionist, an actor. He also does ghost tours. He's a really versatile guy, and we're glad to have him on the show this coming Tuesday. Please check it out. And also, don't forget our other show, Comic Book Spectrum, on at 7 p.m. on Thursday nights, where we talk about comic books. We have reviews and discussions, and we invite your comments as well. So, folks, as always, we're going to close out the show thanking you for being here. Please share, like, and give a thumbs up, and please subscribe to us if you're watching us on YouTube. And if you're watching us on Twitch, don't forget you can subscribe to this show for free using your Amazon Prime account. We would welcome that too. And anyway, folks, we'll hope to see you again soon. We'll see you tomorrow morning on Nevermind the Furthermore. Have a great evening, everyone. And as always, stay smart, stay safe, wash your hands, never apologize for being awesome. Have a great evening, everyone. Thanks for watching Clever Title Pending.
Hello there, super friends. I'm Kelly Gettner of Phoenix Sisters Cosplay, or you might just know me because you're interested in the virtual Super Friends celebration. If you don't know what the virtual Super Friends celebration is, I'm here to tell you about it. This is a perfectly free virtual convention that's coming up Friday, June 11th through Sunday, June 13th. This will be hosted on Phoenix Sisters Cosplay, our YouTube, and our Facebook. I hope you join us.